Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Tatum Potter. Happy May Day. I am the owner and operator of Healing Breath Yoga that is located in Whitby, Ontario. I think I'm getting better at this whole live thing. I've done a couple of them now since Fiona pushed me off that cliff, with loving kindness, of course. I didn't think that I would ever do a Facebook Live, and here I am, the second one in 2 days. And there was a couple of reasons for that, actually. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bit worried about the lack of interaction. So when I'm sitting in front of a class, there's always questions that come up. So there's never a wondering about what I'm gonna talk about because there is that back and forth flow with people. And it's different when you have a virtual setting and who knows if you're engaging the audience or not. And I guess at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. But I hope that I do Fiona justice in the information that I'm going to share today. So today is May Day or Beltane, and I'm sure that a lot of you have spent much of the day tuning into what you could, learning from the different facilitators at Healing House. And I'm going to leave the May Day stuff up to them. It is not my expertise. So any expertise that has been shared today, awesome. It's not going to come from me. But I have tuned in while I was working. So I work for an insurance company as well. And so while I was doing my work, I had a few of the presenters on today and I learned some really interesting stuff. So thank you for the depth of knowledge that I've learned today. And I hope that everyone that has been watching the learnings as well and the teachings that you've taken away something. So today what I wanted to talk to you about is my specialty. So energy is kind of my specialty, I guess. And so each week I teach an empath class, and being an empath is all about energy and the way that energy communicates, how it feels to you. So last week I talked a little bit about the importance of knowing yourself when you're an empath. Very, very important to know what's yours and what's not yours. Because a lot of empaths tend to carry a lot of energy that isn't even theirs. And so I've had students that have walked around thinking that, you know, that sore leg is theirs and it was their mom's. And so when you're an empath and you don't even know it, you attract energy to you. And people, whether they're aware of, consciously aware, I'm going to say, of energy, people that are broken, that are hurting, are attracted to empaths because they have that healing, natural healing ability. But as an empath, your environment and your physical body is so important to be aware of. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, especially with this time of isolation. Being aware of your physical environment is so incredibly important as an empath. I know that a lot of you will know this, but when we talk about psychometry and stuff like that, physical objects hold vibration. They hold memories of a space. And so if somebody came to me with a necklace, I might get an impression of whether it was a grandparent, if it was feminine energy, masculine energy. You'd probably be able to read some of the energy off that physical object. Well, your house and the four walls around you are very much the same. So the way that your feeling within your space imprints on your space. And so we talked about this a couple of weeks ago in empath class of how important it is to be aware of your physical environment and how it's feeling and how you might have to treat it differently during all this COVID-19 and isolation. Chances are most of you didn't work from home before this all started. And so a lot of us are spending a lot more time indoors, inside our house, inside those four walls, whatever that might be for you. And the way that you interact with people, the interactions that you have with people, affect your physical environment. So the example that I used is if you had a coworker that you didn't like and they just got under your skin for whatever reason, they drove you crazy. And so you're sitting in this ball of all day long. You're imprinting that on your physical environment. And so when you go to your office, you leave your house and go into those spaces, you leave that vibrational imprint at the office. So when you walk out that office door, you can be like, whoa, that person was left behind. But when you are at home, you stay in that. You kind of stew in that soup of yuckiness at home. And so I want you to start to be aware of the emotions that you're kind of exploding outward. Are you sitting at your office desk stewing all day and then wondering why you can't sleep at night? Or why when your kids ask for something, you're ready to rip their head off? It could be that the physical environment that you've kind of put that energy out to has been kind of sitting in your environment a little bit. So you want to be aware of that. I think that for most people, it's really, really important that you get into a habit of clearing your space. And that can be done in so many different ways. I myself love Palo Santo. I don't know if you can see it in my little bowl here, but it's pretty used. I like to clear my workspace, which is my meditation room at home, with Palo Santo. My husband does not love the smell of it, so I'm not allowed to use it around the house quite as often as I do my meditation room. But I make sure that, especially when I'm working, that I clear this space that I'm in. Because if I'm working with clients that are going through a lot of stuff, I don't want that energy sitting in my meditation room. It'll start to feel yucky after a little bit. And when we're home all the time, 24 hours a day, we're doing the same thing to our home space. So we want to be aware of the energy that we're putting out there. And if maybe you've had a yucky, frustrating day at work, you take that time to clear the space, whether that's with sage, Palo Santo, through meditation, whatever it is that you might want to do, making sure that you take the time to do that. Your space will feel so much better and so incredibly different when you take the time to do that. I know I had a few of people in the class that were just like, oh, like I don't know. I don't know what's wrong. Logically, I know there's nothing wrong and I just can't shift out of this. And so we talked about the energy that you're putting outwards. And so all of the work that I do is with the energy of love. I want to be expressing myself in the energy of love with the interactions that I have with people. But as well, I want to do that with joyfulness. Those are kind of my two guiding principles when I'm dealing with people, is love and joyfulness. So I want to be cognizant or aware that the energy that I'm putting out to the world is being done so in the energy of love. And if I've had a crappy day, like we're all human, I want to clear that yucky stuff out of my house so I'm not sitting and stewing in it. So one of the meditations that I really like to do for myself, I have a meditation practice that I do every day. And one of the things that I do to clear my house is picture a white light going around the entire perimeter of my house. And once I've put that white sheet of light around the entire perimeter of the house, I start to bring that inwards into the center of the house. And that energy is then anchored down into earth energy. So the physical location of my house is tethered to earth energy. And then from there, what I do is I start to imagine that ball of white light growing. And it grows and it goes into every single room in the house, and it's basically an energetic dusting. It simply washes away everything that I no longer want in the house. And it then circles around the house. So 7 feet above the house, in front of the house, behind the house, under the house. So my house is in this circle of this bubble of heaven energy. And once I have that bubble in place, I then surround it with purple energy, which is crown chakra energy. So I want to be in my house with the energy of knowledge, being connected to the universe around me. But when I'm picturing that energy going out through the entire house and clearing everything out, I'm doing it with the intention that I'm filling this space with love. So anything that comes into my house, they feel love, they feel supported, they feel compassion and cared for. That's how I want my people to feel that live within these four walls. And so as I do that, I always end. I know that Marnie was talking about magic and spells this morning, and sorry, I go on tangents a lot. But Marnie was talking about magic and spells, and as I was listening to her, I realized that, like, oh my God, like, I'm pretty magical, because there's a lot of stuff that I put out there that I've never really thought of as being magic until I listened to Marnie this morning. So that was pretty cool. So thank you, Marnie, for that information. But when I do any kind of meditation, stuff like that, I'm very aware of the intention that I'm putting out to the universe. If you've ever seen any of my posts on healing breath wellness page, it's all about intention. You want to be aware and be mindful about the intentions that you're putting out to the universe, because any internal dialogue that you're having, any kind of thoughts and feelings that you have, that's a conversation with the universe, and that's the energy that you're attracting back to you. So when I clear my house, like I said, I put the energy of love and joyfulness in it. I want my kids and my husband to feel loved. I want us to be joyful within this space. And I think so far so good. We tend to laugh a lot. And the four of us spend so much time together. And so other people are like, oh, how are you doing with isolation? And I'm like, oh my God, I freaking love it. I did not know that I was not a people person until I was forced into my home. And I'm thinking, I don't know that I'm ever going to leave my house again. I'm sure I will in terms of work, but we'll see what happens there. But when I do my meditation and that house clearing space, the end statement that I make, which is what reminded me and got me on that tangent of Marnie, is that I say the following sentence with conviction. And so for me, I say, I call upon the angels, archangels, my guides and guardians, and the Lord our God to flood this dwelling with unconditional love and light, so that only that which is divine may enter here and all else will leave now. And I say that with conviction. Anything or anyone that I don't want in this dwelling needs to get out, because that energy and vibration is not welcome within my four walls. And so I would hope that people, when they're spending so much time at home, that they're aware of that, and that maybe they're clearing their house a little more often. I usually clear our house about once a month, because we don't have a lot of people coming and going. If I've had a client here for whatever reason, I usually do it after that. I'm finding that I'm doing it once a week. While we're home all the time, because the four of us have not left this house since March 20th. We've gone for walks and stuff like that, but for the most part, we're here within these four walls. And so the energy of any fights or anything like that that might be going on, and it really kind of hit home for me last week, because I hadn't done a clearing and my kids were at each other's throats. And usually they're 15 and 13 years old, and usually they get along really, really well. Like, sometimes my husband and I sit there going, what do you think they're doing? Because they're being pretty quiet. So they get along really well, but last week they were just at each other. And finally I said to them, like, guys, what is going on with you? And I realized, kind of feeling out the energy of the house, it was feeling really stale. It was feeling really just, ugh. And I needed to take the time to do an energetic clearing. And so that is usually how things are born within my empath classes that we get talking about, because either somebody has asked me a question, or something's happened in my own life that it's like, oh yeah, I need to be talking about that, and I need to be cognizant about that. So I try to do my best to notice the environment around me. And that is my hope for everybody else, that you kind of take a moment and feel out the space in which you're living, and seeing how it feels. And if something needs to shift, bringing that intention in to shift it out. This May Day is a great time for that. Open the windows and get the energy moving through and clearing things out. It really is kind of that transition time between, well, you're halfway in between spring and summer. And so welcome that energy of spring into your dwelling. Maybe even buy some fresh flowers if you can get your hands on them, and bring them into the house. Because it really does change the energy of the space. So I am going to stay on for a few more minutes. That's everything that I wanted to talk about in regards to space clearing. If anybody wants a card or anything pulled, like I said near the beginning, everything that I do with the energy of love behind it. So the cards that I'm going to be pulling is James Van Praagh, and it is the power of love, because I really think that the energy of love is what we want to be putting out there right now. And so if you would like a card, just let me know and I will pull you a card. So I'm gonna pull a card for Cheryl right now. Thank you, Cheryl. I'm gonna just connect with your energy here and get them into the cards a little bit about what you would like to know. Well, that didn't take very long, and I think I gotta fix my camera a little bit. Okay, so Cheryl, this card is for you. It's acceptance. You are ready to release control of situations or people and lovingly embrace the rhythm of life. Oh, where's my camera? There you go. I think you can see it there. So you got acceptance. So really just allow yourself to surrender into that energy, and do it with kindness and with love. And like I said, I'm going to stay on for just a couple more minutes and see if there's anybody else that wants a card or anything. Just pop a message down in the bottom. I actually have my phone situated so I can read the messages for once, which I don't normally do. I've said so many times that when people join me watching me on a Facebook Live, don't write to me because I won't be able to see it anyways. But I have my phone situated so I can actually read the comments for once. Like I said, I'm starting to get used to this whole Facebook Live thing. Anyways, I will let everyone go. I hope that you have the most amazing weekend ahead. I hope that you find some rest and renewal in this time, and celebrate May Day in whatever way works for you. I hope that you all have a wonderful night. Take care.